Maybe I'm the only one that's ever even wondered this. Why is it so easy to recognize other people's faults in your own? Or is it just me? You know, it seems like people are very, very quick to be critical of other people and tell you all about other people's faults. But it just seems like for some reason they don't ever, or it's hard for them to ever shine the light on themselves and look at their own faults and look at what they ought to be a little bit self-critical about. If you want, whoever this is for, you're living in a situation where circumstances are not real good, and you would like things to be changed on the outside. Well, before anything can change out here on the outside, you got to change it on the inside. All of your changes start in here. What you think eventually becomes what it is you believe, even subconsciously. Just what you believe with a couple of our gods. And in that, thoughts turned into beliefs develop into things that you base all your decisions on. And you make your decisions based on what you think is going to happen and how things are and what you believe. You start making decisions. And not only that, then you add to that math equation words. So basically, let me make this real simple. What you think about, what you believe in your heart, plus what you say all the time, what you talk about, equals your experience and what you live. And if you're not happy with the way things are, change it. But don't start off trying to be changing everything on the outside. Start changing things on the inside of you. Quit being critical of other people. Start changing what needs to be changed in you. I don't know who that was for, but we're going to get started now on a series that I started a few weeks ago. And we haven't really given it a title yet. Someone suggested we call it Sunday School, because it's a Sunday teaching, basically. But it's all about the Gospel of John, which really technically means the Gospel means the good news. And by John, see, there's a bunch of Johns in the Bible. It's really the good news according to John, named the Beloved, the guy that Jesus called the Beloved. This is the good news according to, or from the perspective of, the guy Jesus called Beloved John. And again, let me just recap real quick. You have 4 Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, part 1 and part 2. And John. And those first 3, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, are known as synoptic Gospels. And synoptic just simply means very, very basic, very historical, almost biographical. You know, just boom, boom, boom. Tell you what Jesus did, where he went, what he said. They're very, very basic. But John is not ever considered synoptic. They consider John more of a spiritual gospel. It's very different. It still gives you a record of where Jesus went and what he said and what he did, but from a very different perspective. Because the others are very, very just basic, analytical, historical. But John tends to paint a picture that makes you go, I never really thought about it that way. Okay, so know that. And we've been doing this for, I don't even know how many weeks. And I think I'm in I've gone through the first 5 chapters. I think we're in chapter 6. But I'm not doing this as a line upon line, scripture upon scripture, verse after verse Bible study. I'm not doing that, guys. We're going through the gospel, or the good news according to this guy, and we're doing it just kind of going through it chronologically, going through the chapters, but pulling out pictures, that he wants you to see these pictures. So please don't misunderstand and think it's just a verse-by-verse Bible study. But the other side of that coin is we are kind of going through the book in order. So I think I left off, well, let's just go back to chapter 6. Let's just start there. John chapter 6. And again, this is stuff you've heard, probably, if you've ever spent much time in church, or Sunday school. And I'm not, and I'm going to be sharing things with you as you may have heard before. I want you to hear them differently. I want you to be a little more, shall we say, open-minded. I don't want you just to hear everything in a synoptic, historical, literal, biographical way. I want you to be more open-minded and see things in a bigger picture. All right, after verse 1, after these things, what things? Well, the first 5 chapters. Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, or Tiberias. There was a great multitude was following him because they were seeing attesting miracles or signs. See how these things stop. So why was this huge crowd of people following Jesus? Because they thought he was a great preacher? No. Not necessarily, because they were following signs. They were going, did you see what this guy's doing? All these people being here, all these incredible miracles. They were following him to see more miracles. It literally says it. The multitude was following him because they wanted to see more of these things they've heard about, these miracles. He was performing these miracles on those who were sick. And so Jesus and his guys, they got across to Tiberias first. And now picture this. They're kind of going up a slope. They're kind of going up a hill. And they sit down, Jesus and his 12 boys. But they were high enough elevation, they could see this huge multitude of people coming across the lake to be there. Okay? And if they were already in that area, coming across the ground. They didn't literally all come across in a boat. Probably the majority of them already lived in that area. But when they found out he was there, this huge crowd was accumulating. And Jesus and his guys were at a little higher elevation where they could see this happening. Now watch this. So Jesus, he sat there with his disciples. And now, Passover, that's a whole different sermon there. Passover was at hand. And Jesus, lifting up his eyes and seeing this great multitude coming, he says to Philip. Now, Philip is one of his 12. Listen to what he says. Picture it in your mind. Jesus is at a little higher elevation. He sees this huge crowd coming. And so he says to one of his 12, Where are we going to buy enough bread to feed this many people? Now Jesus was saying this to test him, Philip. Because Jesus himself knew what he was intending to do. I'm going to read on through this, but we're coming back to that verse. So you might want to mark that. We're going to come back to